is uniquely the Spirit of God. That would be the same in me as well as in somebody else, even though we had totally different backgrounds and talents and abilities. That the Spirit of God would operate in both of us in a similar way, and that we're yielding to the Spirit in the same way, so that the observer would understand the importance of balancing the content with the manner. And to me, that's more of a Christian perspective, and I feel obligated to share that with you. Different than a Taoist or a Buddhist perspective, which would be less concerned with the content and more concerned with the manner. Because it wouldn't matter that it was Jesus. What mattered would be a cup of water is being offered to a thirsty soul. Whereas my orientation is Christian, I see the importance in the Taoist and Buddhist perspective, but I see it as being quintessentially reflected in the human form of Jesus, made available to me in the Spirit of Jesus, who is our best expression of Spirit. So I think the Taoists get to a lot of who Jesus is without saying Jesus. But I look at Jesus as being the perfect reflection of the Tao. And that we too can join him in that perfect reflection. But that would only occur if we are perfectly aligned with him in his spirit and in his nature.
Yeah, baby.
Now, I always get to this point somewhere in my hour talk that to me there's more evidence of the centrality and life and urgency and efficacy of Jesus in historical data than there isn't. Some, people always say, well, the If you give me proof, then I will believe. And that's nice, but that's, well, I shouldn't take that position. I'm sorry. Yeah, I too, I wouldn't believe in Jesus if it wasn't demonstrated to me in some degree, in some way, of his lordship and ascendancy. But it has been demonstrated to me, and that's why I am the way I am. So I shouldn't expect you, if you didn't experience what I have experienced, why would I expect you to be different than you are? So I haven't really put them in order of importance, but I am going to try to list 5 things that I believe are more proofs of Jesus being Lord, being the central figure in human history than not. Number 1 is, now this isn't, I'm just using numbers because I want to get to 5. I could have said 7, but I thought 5 would be enough. Number 1, no bones. There's no bones about it. If there were ever a set of bones that should be still available to us today, it should be the bones of the guy who was killed for presenting a radically different spiritual perspective, who also claimed to be raised from the dead 3 days after his death. Those would be bones that we should have. Because the Jews would have loved to prove him wrong. The Romans would have loved to prove him wrong, and they guarded his tomb. No bones. Shortly after his death, there was an explosion of conversions in believing and being empowered by his message and life of spirit that there's never been anything like it in history, of the amount of growth that spread in the Christian faith after his failed mission of being killed by the Romans.